Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
So first question, what does it mean for you to get to receive this award today for your entire career? And do you think you have done enough projects, enough series, enough movies to get an award like this?
I have to admit, when Mitch first mentioned this to me, my first reaction was, "Oh, have I done enough to deserve something like this?" I imagine myself being much earlier in my career, and so yeah, I'm incredibly grateful. I'm honored, but I'm also like, oh God, I hope that doesn't mean I'm done. You know, there's so much more I still want to do. So it's wonderful though, and an incredible gift from the festival, and so I'm incredibly honored. I actually had a very healthy and happy childhood, you know, and a wonderful relationship with my parents and with my sibling. So it's not rooted in trauma, but I think perhaps because I felt so safe at home and in my family, when I think of horror, the family being disrupted is something that scares me a lot. I'm also fascinated by the way the past impacts the present and impacts the future. When I became a parent myself and was raising my own children, you know, it became even more important to me. But yeah, the family, I think, is one of the most fascinating dynamics humans create, and so I'm always fascinated by it. There are times where we know we're not going to be working together, and we kind of let that go. I try to focus on the character first, but very quickly I'll spot something and say, I think Kate would be great for that. I try not to tell her about it until way later, because I don't want to get her hopes up, or what if something changes, or what if I kind of shift in how I see the character by the time we're done. So I will wait kind of to the last minute to tell her which part I think is the one for her. But we're able to work together now in a number of different capacities now that she's producing, she's writing, she's directing now. It's really wonderful. But she's the collaboration of my whole life. And so I'm lucky that living with someone and working with someone are so joyful to me. I'm certain that it does. Yeah, I didn't live in Salem for very long. My family was in the Coast Guard, so we moved around an awful lot. But as I got older, I was aware that I was born there. I knew a lot about the history of it. I was fascinated, absolutely fascinated by the witch trials and the local lore of Salem. So it's obvious, it's very much had an impact on me, but I've spent very little time there in my life, in actuality. But I'd love to go back, maybe for the Halloween festival. That's a great question. When I was very young, when I was a child, I was terrified of horror. I couldn't watch scary movies, I couldn't read scary books. And in order to try to make myself a little braver, I would try to, it started with reading. I figured if I could read a scary novel, then maybe I could watch a scary movie with my friends. But it occurred to me that I was getting braver in little increments every time I tried to interact with horror. And by the time I was in college, it had become my favorite genre. And I think it's because it's made me braver in life. I was able to carry that with me into a lot of places where I had anxiety. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful genre, and it's kind of, you know, the heart and soul of my career. Well, you know, I've occupied a very interesting kind of corner of the industry because I get to write and direct my own work. I've also worked on other projects as a screenwriter that I wasn't going to direct or that weren't made. The landscape as a writer in Hollywood has changed spectacularly since my career began. You know, I feel like it's in a state of constant flux. And it's unrecognizable this year, you know, as it was last year with the strikes and right before the strikes. It's always shifting. But it's all just storytelling, you know, whether you're telling the story just for the page or for someone else to interpret, whether you're trying to create a blueprint for someone else to bring their own artistry to and their own design to. It's all just about what serves the story best. I think a lot of that comes from Stephen King. Those are my favorite stories to read growing up. And I really enjoy a thoroughly told story. I love losing myself into the perspective of characters. For me, character is everything. If I can't really connect with the character, I'm not interested in the story. I'm very rarely interested in the genre mechanics themselves. It's all about the people. So yeah, I also love a challenge. I love a complex story. It's just the way I like to work.